it is I, Cheeky Monkey HD.com here with another episode of this thing, my podcast, the Cheeky Monkey HD.podcast. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. I'm doing a podcast, guys. Welcome to the show, etc. Okay, start the show. I said start it. Hi, guys. It is I, Cheeky Monkey HD.com here, as I've just said in the introduction to this, the latest episode of my podcast, the Cheeky Monkey HD.podcast. You may have noticed that the introduction to this podcast was rather slapdash, or slapdash, depending on how you might say it. And that is for a very good reason. That's because this whole episode is going to be rather slapdash. I know that's surprising to a lot of you because this tends to be a very tightly run ship. If it was a ship, it would probably... I was going to say Titanic, but that's a bad example. I don't know too many other ships. Maybe the one of the Love Boat? Do you remember that, guys? Do you remember the Love Boat? Bit of observational comedy there for you. Where was I? Something to do with boats. No, ships. It's a ship. Slapdash. Yes. Basically, I have noticed this morning that it has been exactly 3 weeks since the previous episode of this podcast. And in my book, that's simply unacceptable. And so I grabbed my mobile portable podcast studio and I just started recording straight away without the merest hint of a thought of what it is I'm going to say. I'm going to be saying it here, so I have thought about where I'm going to be saying it. How I'm going to be saying it is just out of my mouth, so that one's fine. What I think I've said already. Who, what, where, when? Well, when's now? Who, what, when, where... Why I'm saying it? Because I'm overdue, a podcast. Who, what, when, where, when, why? How? I'm doing it. I think I've covered off the bases. I think the mainly one that I don't know is what. And so what I'm going to talk about is nothing really. Just chatting again. I realise that it's fairly recently since I've done a just chatting episode, and it's going to be a hashtag just chatting again podcast because I am just literally chatting. Sorry about that, guys, unless you like this sort of thing, and in which case, there you go, guys. You're welcome. I'll let you know what I'm up to. I'm in the office today. I'm just working on. I've got my new comic book that I'm working on. Getting very close to completion on that. It's looking, in my opinion, superb. Other opinions around the company have varied somewhat. But I'm happy to stick with my own opinion on this. I think my opinion on it is the important opinion. Emma, my sister, little baby sister, as you sure you know, she said it's rubbish. She was quite cruel, as she can be. She just said, that's rubbish. You really want to put that out in the world? And I said, well, it's not, and I do. So that's where we're up to. She tends to gripe about a lot of my products, but then she does allow me to put them out anyway, so I'm not really sure what her role is other than just being a nag. I don't know if that's sexist for me to say that. Hope not. Men can be nags too. I've just not met too many of them. Let me think. I'm getting myself down into a worm/rabbit hole there that I don't want to... I'm going to climb out, guys. Very much like Alice's white rabbit. Although he did go back into the hole, and that's his prerogative. He or she is a rabbit. Alice went down the rabbit hole too, if you remember. And that's led to what we're calling Wonderland. She had a lot of crazy characters there from memory. There was the Humpty Dumpty twins. There was some sort of mouse. There was a Queen character who was absolutely furious from memory. There was a guy with a hat, and I'm not talking about will.i.am off of the Black Eyed Peas. He tends to wear a hat quite a lot. Although I did see a trailer or some clip the other day of when he didn't have a hat on, and it was quite surprising. I thought, oh, try it sometime. Unless it was a hat that looked like his hair, in which case he still had a hat on. It's an interesting area of fashion you might go into there, the hair-looking hat. Any potential milliners out there? You can have that one, guys. I'm not good. That's one of the few areas of creative pursuits I'm not going to jump into, millinery. So you're welcome to that idea. I don't really know where I am now. Which is good in a way, because if I've got lost in thoughts, that I'm consuming time on the podcast quite well. I'm really a believer in quantity over quality, I'll be honest with you, because people don't want to be waiting around for like 15 years for Avatar 3. Come on, James Cameron, just start pumping them out. Bang, bang, bang. Forget about quality CGI. Just stick a guy in a blue suit. You can get those suits off Amazon for about 20 quid. And then you could just have a whole bunch of these films, knock them out. That'd be my advice. Sure, he wouldn't be making $2 billion a film, but if you had 2 billion films and they all made $1, well, they're going to make at least $1, aren't they? So you're going to be, in the long run, you're going to have more money. I think I might start selling my consultancy services to Hollywood, I'll be honest with you. I've come up with some great ideas today. I'm quite literally on fire. Not literally. That would be painful, I think. I've never been on fire, but given my previous experiences with flames and fire in general, I generally think it's quite hot. It's useful, don't get me wrong, for heating yourself up in the winter, cooking, sometimes a makeshift lamp. Does it have other uses? That's about it, but I mean, they're biggies really, aren't they? It was more relevant to the caveman guys, because I didn't have things like central heating, induction hobs, the LED light bulb. I mean, they might have heard of an LED light bulb, but smart bulb? Ugh. Ugh. That's them saying, oh, Alexia, or whatever the cave guy's version of that would be, could you turn on the lamp in the cave? And it did it. And he was like, oh my God, I can't believe that just did it. So I think that they'd be over the moon. They'd be over the moon with that sort of thing. You'd have to somehow program it so it understood Uggs. I don't mean the boots, I mean the language of the cave guy. But if you did, what would the world be like now? That's all I can say to you. Would we still be afraid of the dark? I mean, I'm not. I'm a tough guy. But some people are. I don't know. Maybe I'll write a book about the alternative history. Speaking of books, as I just did, this is a lovely segue. Currently working on several books, and they're all moving at what I would describe as a glacial pace, which goes somewhat against my quantity over quality thesis / philosophy, so we say. But basically, it's really hard to do. I did do one book, though, that's released, remember, Poems and Explanations. It's hard to say. I can't release the exact sales numbers, but it's going great guns. People are loving it. Go and buy it. Look on Amazon for Poems and Explanations by me, CheekyMonkeyHD.com. Find it, read the blurb and go, that sounds like the kind of thing I want to buy. I'm going to buy it. And you can do. It's there in a Kindle format, should you have an e-reader, or it's available in the old school paper format, which will come to you via delivery through your front door. If you've got a letterbox, if you've not, the postman will be knocking on saying, "Are you in?" And you don't know, "I'm at work." I'll take it back to the depot. And you're like, "Oh God, I wish I hadn't ordered the thing." And that's not fair because the book is really good. I don't want to get tarred with the red note to say that it's gone back to the depot. That's a mean thing to pin to such an excellent book. Right. I've covered way more there than I thought I was going to. I'll be honest with you. This has been quite the in-depth podcast. I hope it's give you a glimpse into my psyche. And that glimpse is a great guy. Yeah, I think I'm spent, guys. So I'll hand you back over to me for the outro. Well, guys, that was season 3, episode 9 of the Cheeky Monkey HD podcast. It was a belter, if I can use such a phrase. I loved it. I thought it was great stuff. Hope you agree. If you didn't, then just keep it to yourself. But if you did agree, like, follow, subscribe, review, tell your friends. Go out to the street and go, "I love this podcast. Why don't you download it?" Write a book about it. Publish it. It'd become a bestseller. Then people will be probably be interviewing you on podcasts saying, "Oh, you've written a really good book here about this great podcast. Tell us more about it." You'd be like, "I'll tell you more about the podcast, not the book, because I want you to listen to that because that's the more important. That's more important than the fact that I've written a best-selling book." This is too long for an outro. I'll see you next time, guys. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye. No, fed up.